Hey everyone, and welcome to Not the Newsletter Show, where we take time to unpack cybersecurity and AI in a way that we don't have time in our newsletter. Today I'm here with Noah Wiley, and we've got a couple of awesome topics to cover for you today. And we're going to start with MFA and how best to use it, talk about a couple of different types of MFA, and how best to keep yourself secure when you're using those different types, and just so that you're aware of how best to use it and the sort of pitfalls maybe that come from misusing an MFA platform. So
how do I use MFA?
Carefully.
Yeah,
very carefully. So the first one I'll talk about, and most people probably know and are familiar with, is sort of a push notification where you're logging in somewhere and their box will pop up and say, hey, like Cisco Duo, say, hey, we sent your device a notification, and we're looking to authenticate your login, right? And you get a pop-up on your phone to do that. And I think the only caveat there is just make sure that you're not just clicking that. It's not meant to just be clicked.
Right. Like blindly clicking it.
Not blindly clicked, right? So if you're logged in somewhere already, you should be like actively like entering your password only at office.com and not some third-party weird URL that is not the right place. So keep an eye on those things. But you should be actively logging in.
Sure.
And that should be the only time that it would ever push you that notification. So I think we've seen or heard some people that are just sitting around doing something, or maybe it's just they're already logged in and they get that pop up on their phone and they're like, yeah, whatever, okay. Do not do that. That is not.
Don't do that.
That sort of defeats the entire purpose of that thing. And if you see those, definitely let us know, because it means that someone has your password and they're attempting to log in as you.
Right.
So that's probably the thing that I'm most worried about with those types of authenticators, is that does exist. If someone gets your password and you're just kind of trigger happy with, yeah, sure, that's fine, someone's trying to log in as me, that's okay, they'll have access to be logged in as you. And if they get that session token, they can stay logged in Office 365 pretty much indefinitely.
Right.
So something to be looking out for. The next one is a rolling code authenticator, which is like Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator, where you log in somewhere and it asks you to put in your code that changes every 30 seconds, maybe 15 seconds.
I think it's 30 seconds. Yeah.
Those are pretty good, because hopefully a breach wouldn't happen, that someone would get access to that code somehow. But we have seen people that type those in this scenario where they're clicked on a phishing email and they're just going to go type that in. So again, be cautious about where you type that in. Make sure that it's the domain name and the URL is the expected place you're supposed to be trying to log into.
Right.
But the reason I want to talk about MFA is the thing I like the best. I think sort of merges both those and takes some of the human error component out of it. And there's two of those. One's from Microsoft that you've kind of mentioned to me. I didn't know they were doing it. And Google has been doing this for a while. And when I saw it the first time, I was like, man, why is everyone not doing Authenticator this way? Where you log into Gmail on a new computer, it kicks out an MFA, like a push notification, just a yes. It says open Gmail. You click a thing. Yes, I'm trying to log into Gmail right now, and then there's a second step that requires a code, and so then you're at that point forced to put in that code on your computer. And I think that's just really awesome to have that second step of, okay, great, you might have just willy-nilly clicked that, but now there's sort of this rolling code piece to it as well, that
like the odds of that getting messed up or hacked or whatever, go infinitely way lower. Not infinitely, way lower.
It's exactly right. So I think,
and I actually got the not to cut you off, I just have, in case if people haven't seen it, I found it's in this article that I have pulled up. Yeah, here we go. So this is kind of just what it looks like right here. I just have it pulled up on my computer here quick. Like I have to do the MFA thing, like Chris has talked about. Like you'll see a number on your computer screen, like on the Microsoft's example, it's like, okay, type in number 83. Or like to approve the science, like type in 83. Then you go to your MFA app, within their example, Microsoft Thinking Air, you have to type in 83 or it won't work.
And I think that's better than Google's, because I think Google just gives you 3 numbers that are up on your phone.
Sure.
And then you have to match that to the one that's on your computer.
So I guess technically there's a 1 in 3 chance you somehow guess. Even that'd still be crazy odds.
Hopefully you don't check a box and then it's like, what number do you see on your computer? And you're just like, I see none of these numbers. Hopefully that's enough to stop you from clicking on it. But I don't know. Maybe someone 1 in 3 chances just pushes a button. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But
really want to log in.
Really, really want to let that hacker get into my Gmail account. But I think that we're going the right direction with MFA, because I do think there's still a human element to MFA that the point of MFA is to reduce that human error.
Right.
So I still think there's a little bit with some of those platforms. I think there's still a little bit of human error potential in some of the current deployments of MFA. So obviously stay on guard with that as things get better, but I'm just kind of excited to see where that's going. I'm really excited to see sort of a mix of rolling code authenticator and push in the same thing. So I'm really kind of excited to see where that goes. But on the topic of MFA, Ascension is still down. I like how I feel like you knew I was going there.
I did know you were going to go there. It's too easy.
Yeah, my
they
bad.
have said, I forgot to pull up the page. I had it loaded before and then I accidentally closed it, but I was trying to load up because Ascension has their like press release page or whatever like that on their website about the ascension.org where they've been talking about this whole thing. I was trying to go to that page and it wouldn't load. I'm like, oh no, they got the website too, which just snarky remark, whatever like that. Because I was trying to see if they said anything else new. The last thing was from May 21st. It was just kind of a very generic, like we're still working on it. I did hear it, not from this, but we heard that I guess their fax is down too.
Yeah, our last podcast, someone said, all of our faxing is down too. So
it probably runs through some internet-based
some
phone system.
Yeah, I could see it being, a lot of them are PBX is hosted in Linux or something in VMware. So I could see that being a case where that's hosted internally somewhere. I could see there's a scenario where they're just kind of like, hey, from right now, like I'm just going to go into my server and be like, dink,
or
unplug,
that,
right?
just turn it off,
there's some stuff that potentially. So we don't know if it was MFA that caused them to have
I haven't
issues,
said anything yet.
It felt like the right transition. So hopefully they keep making progress there. I'll be excited to see that get turned back on because we're now 2 weeks in a day. I think we talked the last time.
I think
it was
so. Yeah.
a Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So
and it was a
now
week and a
Thursday,
day back then. Yeah. So
So
it's been going on for a while. So
it has been going on for a while. It's too bad that Not the Newsletter podcast show wasn't out earlier, right? If we started the show maybe 2 years ago, or a year ago, maybe someone from Ascension would have watched this and been like, yes, something. I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with something really awesome that if someone would have known beforehand. Maybe it's not even us. We might have a guest on the show that's just like cybersecurity expert that can come in and just be like,
that would be super cool.
That would be cool.
I'd be down for that. That'd be awesome.
So we just got to fix that so that no other Ascension hacks have to happen ever again.
Yeah, something
So
like
subscribe and watch. We're going to be getting this. Another side tangent here is we'll be getting this now that we've got a name and a like permanent location. We'll start putting this out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube Music and the other places.
What's the official thing that everyone says always at their wherever you get your podcast? I think is the phrase. So you got to say that. You have to say the same.
Sorry,
you be a part of the.
I don't know
the industry or not industry. The community.
Yeah.
There
you
I
go.
almost said economy.
Mm-hmm. YouTube economy.
And we're not in that yet. We don't have enough subscribers for YouTube economy.
50 is not enough for us to monetize anything. Yeah.
Is it 1,000?
Yeah, I think it's 1,000 subs and a lot of watch hours. It's like, that which I think is going to be more the issue than the subs. So,
optimism. We can do it.
We got this. Yeah. So next on the sort of agenda is the Microsoft Surface event.
That is. So I'm trying to find it here. Oh, I never pulled up the actual Surface page. It doesn't matter. Microsoft had a Surface event earlier this week or late last week. My sense of time is completely messed up. But they had a Surface event, kind of just like any company does to unveil new products and everything like that for some new Surfaces. So basically, Microsoft is now, they always have been, but they're now directly trying to attack the MacBook Air. They always have been, but now they're directly calling it the MacBook Air. They're making it exact competitor to the MacBook Air, like in their Surface laptops. It's going ARM-based, just like all the MacBooks are going. And even in their event, they're like, all this new Surface is X, Y, and Z, like 58% faster than the MacBook M3 MacBook Air, which is last year's MacBook Air, at doing whatever, like very direct call. So it's very clear that they're trying to be like a true competitor. The Surface also looks, I see if I can find a picture, but this new Surface like laptops also look hilariously just like if you were, I heard this joke and it's perfectly encapsulates it. If you were to describe a MacBook, like if I was just to tell you, like if you didn't already have a MacBook and I was going to sit here and try to describe what a MacBook looks like, that's what it looks like they did.
Hey, here's this. Like if you just had a Surface handy, you were like, hey, what does a MacBook Air look like? You'd just be like, here you go.
Or it just looks like a royalty-free MacBook.
Sure.
That's what it looks like.
Sure.
So that's, subjective, take it or leave it. But say they announced some new like AI features and everything like that, which were cool and whatnot. There's one super controversial one though that you guys might have already heard about called Recall. Did you hear about that yet or no?
Yeah, because you told me about it.
Oh yeah, I did. I forgot about that. Anyways, Recall. Now you guys get to hear about it. Recall is basically what it is if you have an AI powered, like a computer that's like optimized for AI, because they're making more computers that are like AI optimized, like AI optimized processors and stuff like that. Basically, Copilot is kind of just running on your computer, and what Recall does is Copilot just continually whenever it thinks it's relevant, but it sounds quite frequent, like maybe many times per minute, will go through and just take like a screenshot of your screen
for security purposes.
Of course. That's always the forefront. They'll just go and take a screenshot of your computer and like kind of compile that. So then you can go back to Copilot later and be like, hey, what was that thing I was working on? Like, help me find the PowerPoint thing I was working on like 5 days ago where I referenced this report or something like that. And then Copilot will be like, oh, hey, here's the thing you were talking about. And then I'll bring up like that screenshot of your actual computer. They advertise this as a really cool like productivity thing. Like, oh, if you forget things, they'll just remember it for you and everything like that, which everyone immediately was like, wait a minute. So now everyone always kind of like, oh, big tech is always watching us and yada yada. That's always been a thing. But now Microsoft is like, we're gonna watch now what you're doing. So it's very controversial because everyone's just like, so you're just gonna like constantly take screenshots of my computer. And even Microsoft admitted or not admitted, but they said like it won't scrub bank information. If there's a password on the screen, it'll capture that. It'll capture medical records. Anything you have on your screen will just get captured and it gets scored. They say it's all local on device, but like, I don't. It's an AI, so like it probably goes to the internet for something.
So we're hoping BitLocker encryption is on by default and that sort of thing too.
I think
these
so.
Devices, I would think so too.
I think so. Yeah. But so it's like all your screenshots of your computer are just getting stored somewhere.
But that
processed.
That means you also need an absolute gigantic amount of storage to turn that thing on. Because
that's true.
I think for that to be really valuable, I'm going to want to go there and be like, hey, I was working on that project 6 months ago. I want to re-quote something that I was working on 6 months ago. Can you find that report that I deleted? Can you find that? Maybe it's not even a report, but it's a quote. Hey, I worked out a quote for a customer it sounded like they didn't want from a long time ago. Can you go find that for me? I just kind of want to get that back and start from there instead of having to redo it. Like that would be awesome for me, right? That means you have to keep my screenshots for forever.
A while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
1 terabyte version just so that it's full of screenshots from the last 5 years.
And like, yeah, it literally just makes like verbatim from them. It just creates like an explorable timeline. So like to your point, like how much data do you have to capture in order for that to be like a thing? It has to be stored somewhere, whether on your computer or in the cloud. Which
but you
means
said that it's not in the cloud though. You said it's not in the cloud.
As far as I can tell, it's only on device, but that doesn't make any sense because how then would it do things like what you're saying? Like unless is the timeline really short? I don't know.
Then it loses some of its value because I have my long-term memory is way worse than like, hey, what was I working on yesterday? What am I supposed to be doing this next week? Yeah, but cool.
You can also search live meetings and videos thanks to live captions. Like that's the thing. Like just to like wrap up this point, like everything's just AI now. Like it's kind of just like this is the big thing. We're just gonna like throw things at the wall and see like what sticks. So it's kind of just like this feature. Like that's kind of cool. I get like I don't know. Like with anything with AI, like we talked about a bunch, like kind of know what you're getting into and like think twice about it sort of thing. Yeah. Not to just have like a doomsday opinion on everything because you don't want to do that, but like maybe something like this is something you don't turn on.
Be realistically optimistic.
Isn't it cautiously optimistic?
Sorry, cautiously optimistic.
Realistically be cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously be realistically optimistic. So something else is funny. We talked about this, I think, in the last podcast or something. Maybe it was a couple ago. And you kind of mentioned again that they're sort of going after the MacBook Air. Yeah. And so some of the news is like, oh, it supports twice as many monitors as the MacBook Air. Yeah. So it supports 3 monitors. So the MacBook Air must support 1.5, I guess, is the answer to that question. Yeah. Unless my math, I was bad at math. I'm sorry, Mom. But I still think 1.5 is half of 3. But probably it is good. That is one of our complaints at one point was I plugged this one into a docking station to just use 2 monitors and it just duplicates. So it knows they're there. It shows them both, but it's like, nah.
The software lock.
Software lock, yeah, I'm sure it is.
People have gotten around it. I think like we talked about before, people have gotten around it.
Yeah.
And I've on the older MacBook Airs, there is still a way around it with the display link control panel where it's just like software makes a new screen. The new one doesn't seem to do that.
And the weird thing is I think I've tried that on both my Macs and couldn't ever get it to work.
Oh, I've gotten it to work.
The reality is I probably spent 5 minutes because I'm like, this should be easy. And if it doesn't just work...
We got to try a bit longer than that. It's a little finicky.
I'm just on to the next thing. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And it's like, I have to reboot the software and cancel it and crash. Like, if it's going to be that painful, sure, it's not production ready. It's not something I'm just going to use. I'm not going to come back from a meeting and be like, "Pink," and just be able to work and be able to not have to just... That's going to annoy me to have to do that all the time. So I guess it's good. They support 3 monitors. Like, way to go. Yeah.
Congratulations.
You did it right. You did the one thing right.
But
So-
it also is interesting on the fact that like Surface is like, oh, the tablets, but that can also be computers, which
Yeah.
I think is a perfect segue into our next thing. iPads. There's new iPads, which is like the most famous. It's a computer,
iPad
but it's not a
computers.
computer.
Yeah.
Don't it's call it. The Apple's like, don't call it a computer. It's an iPad.
Right. Don't call it a computer. Yeah.
But then they also try and make it a
Yeah.
computer.
But when you check out, make sure to get the keyboard and the case and the mouse and the magic everything and
So
whatever.
really quick, because it's not too big or anything like that. I just have their website pulled up here. I need to punch out a little bit here. Basically, they unveiled some new iPads. So if you're really big into iPads, it's cool. There's new iPad Pro, new iPad Air, and then the normal iPad just got an updated price. Basically, they're all just kind of going harder in on like M series processors. So like the iPad Pro gets like the brand new M4, which is the same M4 processor. It's going to go in the MacBooks later this year. I think the one in the iPads are the exact same ones as the ones that are in the MacBooks. They're just slowed down a little bit to like conserve heat and battery and everything like that. But it's cool. It doesn't really, it's nothing like super crazy like talk about. It's just if you really like iPads and you want an updated iPad, like they're cool. But they kind of like advertise as like, oh, you can get like the pencil, do all the drawing stuff, which is cool. And like it has like the whole folio keyboard. So you can make it like a computer, but we swear it's not a computer because go buy a MacBook, which is kind of
Right.
true. But they clearly just aren't trying to cannibalize each other. But like, my goodness, do they cost more than computers if you like were to spec them up.
Right. And don't get a MacBook Air, get a MacBook Pro. And then also make sure you get a MacBook desktop because a MacBook desktop.
MacBook does. Like I'm going to literally do it right now as we're talking. Like I'm just literally going to come here and just like spec out an iPad Pro because we've gotten questions actually recently. We've gotten a couple questions be like, oh, hey, like they advertise that like you can just replace a computer, but can it? It's like, well, no, not really, because it has a bunch of downsides and everything like that, but they'll still price it as a computer. So like if I want to get an equivalent thing to like this right here, so we're just going to do this 13-inch screen, silver, doesn't matter. How much storage do you have in yours?
I don't know. Enough.
That's not an option.
Well, again, these are sort of AI stuff too, right? There's a lot of new AI stuff with M4, right? And they were trying to like say they're like
That's true.
So
Yeah, let's just assume we're doing 512
go
gigabytes.
more because they're probably going to take Copilot snapshots in Apple.
All right,
and
fine, 2 terabytes.
Keep all of our data there.
Let's just say I want nanotexture glass, sure, and I want cellular. I didn't pick that. I want cellular. Like this computer
And
before.
honestly, that's how you would spec it. Because if the practical application is, and we've had some customers recently of like, hey, is this a solution for our sales guys? Like, hey, could
Right.
they take this on the road? They can function. They can do their job. And again, it's an all-in-one. Like they can take pictures. They can upload it to the CRM. Like, how functional can these be?
So I just spec'd it up. Like I made like a pretty nice iPad Pro, like people can see here. But before I'm adding even a warranty, which absolutely warranty your Apple devices, because if you don't, you break it, you're kind of out of luck. It's $3,077.
Right. That becomes complicated because I think I'd rather just buy a couple of computers. Honestly, I think we'd just buy a computer and then when it goes wrong, buy another one, right? For
At that price, yeah, literally.
because a lot of other things. And the issue is if your software you're running is an app, great, probably works great with an iPad. If you try to do anything outside of the ecosystem, outside of what you can find in the App Store, it's probably going to be not the same experience you can get if you had a computer, whether it's a full Mac or a full Windows machine of some sort or another.
Right.
So
Yeah. So kind of just, I guess the takeaway. So if I had Apple Care, now it's $3,200. Takeaway is, if you love iPads, they're cool, but iPads are iPads. Like kind of treat them like iPads. They're not going to replace your computer. You can't do any like file. I mean, you can, but like you can't hook this up to like a domain at work or anything like that, and like sign in with your work and like access file shares and printers. And I mean, maybe you can do printers, but the iPad is the iPad. It's always just going to probably be the iPad because they want to sell MacBooks, which I don't blame them. But
yeah.
yeah,
And I don't know why it's just like let it stay in its own lane. I don't know that I think we've tried to do that. I think until we get to the point where my phone is everything, that's what I want. Like I want to dock my
Sure.
phone at work and then it's just done. And then I think if we get to that era, that's where I think we can start to change some things though.
which M series processor is going to be 9,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, probably.
Not
So
too bad.
yeah.
But cool. Yeah. Anyway, so there's new Apple stuff. There's a new Apple Pencil Pro, and like new keyboard stuff like that. Nothing super big. The new M series processor is probably like the biggest deal because that's also very AI heavy. They haven't revealed a ton of what I think all the AI stuff, like super fancy AI stuff, they're going to reveal in June when they do their their Worldwide Developer Conference. Apparently, that's going to be when they talk about all their big AI stuff, which every company is just all AI now. It's almost ad
It's
nauseum
everywhere. Yeah. You Google something now and it's just everything's AI, right? Like that's just
with their
what's
terribly
happening.
broken Google AI results. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's so good.
Terribly broken. I mean, that's what you want, right? You want broken results, right?
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to read them. But I guess takeaway is, I mean, nothing really about the iPads, but I think key takeaway, because on the note of the Surface and just all the other things doing AI, is just think twice about it. Like, think if it's actually applicable, because there's a lot of market for it and people are going to charge for it. Like, Copilot's expensive. Everything, all the AI stuff is expensive. See if you can really use it, because there's a bunch of buzz around it. And maybe just the takeaway is understand the security implications, like recall. Probably don't turn recall on or turn it off.
Right.
And just see if it's a budgetary thing that
Right.
if you can use it for something, cool.
Right. Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, people were Googling how to thicken pizza sauce, and they were being told to put in glue. So
Non-toxic.
non-toxic glue.
Just
but make sure to not
Fact
just
check it.
Yeah, fact check AI.
Also, fact check MFA. Just fact check everything. Be cautiously optimistic. Maybe we should have named our podcast that instead. We're going to change it next time. No, we're not.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to change the locations and the name. Pretend like it's never happened. This is never going on the internet.
No, not at all. But anyways, I think that's all we had to talk about. Do you have anything else to cover for this week?
I don't think so. No.
Cool.
Double check your AI results.
Mm-hmm. Make
Double
sure you
check.
don't approve random MFAs.
Yeah, don't approve MFA unless you're actively logging in, and buy a real computer and not a touch screen of some sort that's not really a full device.
Exactly. Cool. That's all we got.
Good takeaways.
So thank you guys. I don't know what camera to look at here. There we go.
The red one.
I couldn't see the red one. Well, if I'm
That's 'cause
colorblind, you don't know
because this
that.
was red. I think you were live over here.
Yeah, you don't know if I'm colorblind.
You might be.
See, now it's to me. Now I have to go around and chase it around. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Always appreciate it. We'll be back eventually with some new stuff.
Next week, maybe.
Maybe next week.
That's the goal, right? We start promising. We'll see you guys next week. You can say that.
We'll see you guys next week, according to Chris.
We got this. I believe in us, Noah.
I don't. But I should.
You should.
So am I cautiously optimistic?
That we'll shoot another one between now and next week. Yeah,
What are you?
that's fair. Optimistically optimistic.
Blindly optimistic? No, I'm kidding.
It's twice as optimistic as cautiously.
Fair enough. In that case, our ramblings are over.
Mhm.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.